2.
Hey everybody, welcome to the arcade live stream. I'm Shannon. I'm at Shakao on the MakeCode forums.
I'm Daryl at Darzu on the MakeCode forum.
I'm Joey at JWonderl on the MakeCode forums.
I'm Richard at Richard on the MakeCode forums.
And I'm Vivian at Live Cheerful on the MakeCode forums.
Cool. So I think 2 streams ago, we did a stream where you were a character and you had like a couple different weapons. And today I want to do something sort of in that vein where you're also a character and you have a different kind of weapon. And this is a specific type of weapon where you throw a projectile and it bounces a couple times. And then it like comes back to you, or, you know, once you've hit your max number of bounces, it like destroys itself. Yeah, and we can talk through exactly how we want this bouncing mechanic to look. I have not thought it through very much. So what should our player be?
Richard, you were talking about your
Can it be a turtle?
Oh, I was just going to say I've got 2 different bouncing mechanics from 2 different Kirby games that I'm thinking of.
Okay. Background noise.
I guess what thing throws things?
I was thinking a turtle could throw its shell, but I know that's not like actually realistic. How a turtle behaves.
Could be something throwing a turtle.
Oh my gosh. Don't some kinds of birds eat turtles and then
they drop large rocks
on
their backs and crack it, but that's
Could
not very pleasant.
Could be throwing a hat.
Could be throwing a hat. But what are we? What is the...
What's wearing?
Throwing a cool top.
It could be Richard throwing the hat. If you want to draw a little Richard.
I don't know if Richard wants to star in a game. All right. So
it could be a mushroom throwing its mushroom cap.
Yep,
Ooh.
That's it.
Perfect. Do we have mushrooms? Don't we?
Do we?
Oh,
We definitely have mushroom tiles, right? Yeah, there we go.
Oh.
We don't use this Sprite very often.
Can we make it a more vibrant color?
Oh, right. The camera's following. Yeah. Like red is what you're thinking, or like...
Yeah. Red or green, probably.
Green is poison.
Shade it with red.
All mushrooms are poisonous.
That's not true. I thought about it.
My dad told me that he was picking up mushrooming, and I was like, please don't.
My mom this week found a random mushroom the size of a cantaloupe. And then she was wondering if she could eat it.
What? Oh, red is shaded with brown?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was good.
All right. Cool. Color swap this mushroom.
Looks great.
And then I added this to move the player with buttons, which would move the mushroom around the screen. And I'm adding this camera follow. And cool. So let's start by doing...
I said I like the idea that when the mushroom cap is gone, it's just going to have like 2 little dot eyes.
Oh, underneath?
Oh,
Yeah.
and a mouth going.
Okay.
I can't stand that. It's too cute.
Cool. So let's add a tile map, and I'm gonna do the bouncing. I'm gonna just start like doing this bouncing, and then we can see. I think Richard maybe has some insight. So let's make it the size of the screen to start with. 8, and then I'll do some walls. So we have this dungeon floor. We have walls. Yeah, here we go. Let me just see. Do we have like... What if I just use this fancy tile to also be a wall? Just for efficiency right now. Cool. So here's our room. Here's our mushroom. Oh, same color. I guess I'll just make it dirt. Cool. And then when you press the A button, you're going to fire a projectile. So let's just do like the very, very easiest thing. So we have this projectile from my sprite. So if I do a projectile from the player, and the projectile is going to be the mushroom cap, but like, I guess it's like from the top down. So let me move this guy. And wow. Cool. This is probably fine. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set one of our flags. So I go into projectile. This is an effect. Projectile, we have this bounce on wall. I'm going to turn it on.
I think you're also going to have to turn off destroy on wall.
Ooh, yes. Let's try this real quick. Yep. So projectiles are set to automatically destroy on wall. So even though it is bouncing, it is also being destroyed. All right. Cool. So there's some bouncing. I think maybe it should be, well, we'll change the velocity later. So you should be able to, let's see. So maybe tell me a little bit about the mechanics you had in mind, Richard.
Oh, no, I think this is fun. Let's just do it kind of like this. Okay. Or whatever you had in mind. With
So the thing I had in mind to change, add to this was you have to be able to pick the direction that you're bouncing in. And then you can only shoot once. And after it bounces a couple times, it will disappear and you can like reload.
Yeah, so the one I was thinking of was from some Kirby games. There was a laser that you would fire, and at these right angles, it would bounce off. And so you would use it to like hit switches or things that were kind of, out of the area, or there would be enemies flying around, and you could hit specific angles to go get it. But it works more for a side scroller. I guess it would work for top down too.
I see. Right, because you were going like up and down. I think it would still work for top down if you were like design the rooms such. But yeah.
With that, you only throw in one of the cardinal directions, I guess, and then
try and like ricochet it off to hit the. Well, but then so do you have like slanted platforms in the rooms? Is that how they do?
Yeah, so they're at like 45-degree angles.
Okay.
And it's not like physics, it just like if you hit the 45-degree angle and you're going this way, it goes at a right angle.
Yeah. Okay. So I think, let me start by doing the reload mechanic first, and then we can talk about like direction stuff. If 8 is too many, we can just do 2. Or sorry, not 2, 4. So let's see. So I'm gonna set a flag, or I'm gonna need the sprite data anyway. So let me start by adding that. Okay, it's sprite data. So if you click on extensions, you have a list of extensions, which are bonus blocks that you can add to a project. And this one adds blocks into the sprites drawer. So if you get onto the bottom, now you have all of these new sprite data blocks. And these are just extra properties that you can save onto a sprite. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a property on the sprite that is like has cap or something. The player.
Couldn't you just have a global variable since there's only going to be one, or more?
I could, but I didn't want to make another global variable.
Fair.
It does the same thing. So yeah, either of these approaches is totally valid.
By the way, all variables in Blockly are global. So The idea is that when you're in text-based languages, you can have some variables that you can see everywhere and some variables that you can only see inside of like a function. But when you're working in Blockly, everything is global. So all variables are accessible all over the place. But it also means that variable list can get very long in more complicated games.
Yes. The downside of this is that I have this like name of a variable that is just a string and I'm typing it everywhere. Whereas if I use this variable thing, then the name would be in this dropdown. And so I would ensure that it was all the same. But I'm only going to use it in these 3 places plus one more. So right now I can fire once and then I won't be able to again. And I will also never be able to fire again because I'm not setting it back to true. So I'm never getting my hat back. So the other thing to do is on this projectile, I'm going to set bounces. So if I go into Sprite, I can set this number. And it's going to be, this is a change block. Set, there we go. So I'm going to set projectile bounces to, 3. It's like a reasonable number of bounces. And then when the projectile hits a wall, projectile hits wall at location, I'm going to change the number of bounces by -1. So you bounce once, you lose a bounce. And change Sprite bounces by -1. And then if you are at 0, so if you're at 0, if you're below 0, 1, 2, at, no.
If you're at 0, yeah.
Cool. So then if I need to read this number that I just changed, or should I check before?
No, you should change first.
Change first.
Because it'll start at 3, then it'll go to 2, then it'll go to 1, and then it'll go to 0. I guess, do you want the third one to be another bounce or the end?
I think it should. Let's do this and see how it feels, and then if it's like, oh, it would be useful to bounce one more time or whatever, then we can change it. So subtract a bounce, and you don't have any more bounces, then we're going to destroy this sprite. Destroy sprite. Cool. All right, so let's. Oh, and I need to set the has cap. So. We're not really gonna, what did I just do? We're not really gonna worry about like picking it back up. We're just gonna say, once you're done bouncing, it like magically returns to you.
You could do a sprite follow and then on collision with it, you get it back.
Okay. I was imagining it just regrowing and popping out of the head would be cute too, but either way.
That would work, but you would also need to put ghost true, because if we get some tile maps that are more complicated, it could get stuck on walls.
That's true.
Right.
If it's ghost, then you can't do collisions when it comes back.
You could just do
Let's destroy for now, and then we can.
Right.
You could A-star
do
that.
Follow with
probably
the
look weird.
Sorry.
I said you could do follow with the lifespan, and then on destroy you can set back to true as like a more complicated thing.
Right, yeah, and then it would just sort of head back towards you, and we could assume that it like made it the rest of the way. Okay, so let's see how this looks. Now we should be able to fire projectile. Whoop. 1, 2, 3, cool, and then we can shoot again. And if I'm pressing A while it's still there, I don't get another projectile. All right, so this is 1, 2, and then it destroys on the third one. Yeah.
Seems great.
Cool. Okay, so now directions. So you can see right now we have this VXVY set to 50-50, which means it's always firing in this diagonal down direction. And you should be able to pick your direction, but you're also using your arrow keys to move. So, what do we think?
2 ideas.
Hold.
So one thing I've done before for a game that you worked on me with was you hold down B and then you can aim.
Mm-hmm.
So while you're holding B, you don't move, but you can change your aim, and then when you release B, it just stays there. And so you just kind of put an arrow that's pointing at where you're aiming.
Yeah.
And And then option 2 would be we just have an arrow above it, and then we press B, it moves by some increment, goes all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
You could also just throw it in the direction you're moving. So you sort of be moving, and then you have to like move towards the enemy a little bit, fire, and then keep going.
It's tough to do in practice. I've done that before also, and it becomes really difficult, especially if enemies are chasing you, to fight back. Because if you have enemies that are following you, you need to be able to stop, change direction, and fire a few things, and then start running again. But yeah, it is definitely the simplest of the control methods.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what I'm hearing is we basically need, so for all of these, we'll need something that is like the current direction, and based on that, we're going to pick the velocity, and then we need some way to like set that direction, whether that is like, I think I would like to be able to aim. I don't want to just like rotate around with the button. That seems like it would be hard to like line up your shot, right, if like enemies are coming at you.
Jacob has a
question.
Jacob has a suggestion from chat,
Oh.
which is you could also have a constantly rotating reticle, I don't know what that word means, / cursor, and you have to time the shot when it's lined up.
Ooh.
The Yoshi's Egg version. In a game, there was a game called Yoshi's Island, and this was how you had to fire eggs, and it was both awesome and infuriating.
This is how we did it for the Hook game, right?
Yeah, we just had the constantly going back and forth and back and forth.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yoshi's Island is a Mario Kart course, not a game, I'm pretty sure.
Yoshi's Island is an amazing game.
So what do you guys think? I don't really have a strong preference. What are games you like to play?
So one idea about moving and shooting, Richard's point totally stands, except that in this case we can ricochet. So if you are running away from enemies, you run towards a wall and fire at that wall, and you know what's going to happen. It's going to, go backwards towards the people behind you.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, let's try the directional thing then, because I think we've done point to aim, and we've done the rotating thing. So we can, I don't know, if we have time, we could try out a couple of these, and we'll see how it goes. And maybe we won't do like dungeon rooms. We'll just see how it feels to do different firing mechanics. So I'll do the easiest one first. Well, I'll do this one, which Richard said would be easy, and we'll see. Cool. So I think to compute the direction you're moving in, I guess I'll just use VXVY.
No, you should use DXDY or else it won't work on walls.
What do you mean it won't work on walls?
If you're hitting a wall, you won't have a VX or VY set to 0.
Yeah.
So you want to use the DXDY from the controller, which tells you which buttons are pressed. If DX is greater than 0 or less than 0, and DY is greater than 0 or less than 0.
Mm-hmm. What happens if you're not moving? Like, where should it fire then? Just in your last move direction, I guess?
Yeah, you could just make it latching, right? Like it.
Cool. All right. So in that case, I'm going to calculate your X and Y. And then if there is no DXDY, we're going to use the previous one. So rename variable. Okay. So I think this is going to be a little bit of trig. So we want the X direction you're moving in. Well, no, I just need to normalize it, right?
Yeah, so you just need to do like I would store a diagonal speed and a cardinal speed, and then you should be able to use those and just change the sign, right?
Yes. What do you mean a diagonal speed?
So you're only doing the 8 directions, right?
Right.
So you have a speed that is, when you're going
Oh,
straight
I
up,
see what
and
you
then you
mean.
have the, sorry, I mean for the XY components of the velocity.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Cool. How do I get dx, dy? Oh,
in
you want me to just
controller
calculate? Sorry?
It's in controller.
Oh, I see. Oh, awesome.
Yes, this is a block we do not use very often, but it returns a
Cool.
number, and the number is actually scaled depending on the amount of time that has passed by like the previous frame. We're not using that property right now, though. We're just using the sign of it, basically.
What is the plus
But these
button?
blocks are actually super useful if you don't want to use move sprite with buttons, because you can do a lot of more complicated movement stuff using these.
Okay. So, what I'm going to do is basically we have 8 directions. We have straight up, straight down, left, right, and then these diagonals. And each of these is a combination of either positive x, positive negative x, and positive negative y, or 0. I think maybe just a big if statement. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
unless you wanted to, Trig.
No, that's okay. All right, so then
You
I'm going to.
could. I think so. Our dx dy, what is their range? Like 0 to 1?
Yeah, they can
Like
go
maybe
0 to
1 to
1,
1?
but it'll be scaled depending on the amount of time, so I don't think you can use it that way. Because sometimes
Oh.
you'll fire faster or slower depending on. It's scaled depending on the amount of time between this and the previous frame. This is what we use internally for move sprite.
I see. I mean, you could do dx dy, like projected to, -1, 0, 1, and then you can see if the like absolute value of those is like 2 or 1. But this might be
I see
more
what you
sane.
Wait, but I don't think that works. I think you would need, because you need specifically.
Just to know
Yeah.
the diagonal speed. But yeah, I don't think it actually comes out to be simpler.
Okay, so let's see. So if the dx is, let's see, we'll need 3 for when it's greater than, less than, or equal to 0. And then in here, we will also need 3 for when the y is greater than, less than.
Maybe the trig would have just been
0.
simpler.
But this is new, right? Breaking new ground.
Or maybe the player velocity, because thematically, if you're throwing it, you're maybe throwing it with the momentum the player has, and if you're against a wall, well, maybe it just doesn't throw, or we throw some default thing.
But it ricochets, right? So
Yeah.
you would want to be able to throw against a wall.
Okay, let's try this, and then I don't know, we can clean it up or explore a different approach later. So I'm gonna set a base velocity number, which is not gonna be great mathematically, but we'll do some stuff later. So 80. All right. So if x and y are both greater than 0, then we need the x and y velocity to both be positive. Otherwise,
Oh, so are you not doing the diagonal thing? Because if you're not, then you can just multiply by -1 if it's greater than x or less than.
if it's, I mean, I still
You
need.
can set.
What do you mean?
So you can just set them both to be the projectile speed, and then just do an if less than, multiply by -1, if less than, multiply by -1, right? And then set it for
I
the
see what you mean.
projectile.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna do the diagonal thing in like a second step.
Oh, okay. Then yeah,
Um,
we should do it this way then.
All right. So if the y is negative, then we need this projectile speed to also be negative. And then if it's 0, we only this is positive. Oh, okay. I should just do this at the very top. Cool. So yeah, if x velocity is greater than 0, then we know x is positive. If x velocity is, if you're pressing x in the negative direction, then the projectile will move with a negative x velocity. Otherwise, it's 0.
I think that for the else, for the y, you actually just don't want to set it. You don't want that else condition, because then it'll just carry over from the last time you fired, right?
But we don't, we need to set it if one of them is 0 and you're pressing the other.
Oh, you're right, you're right.
Yeah. Right, this should be 0. Okay. And then, however, this doesn't have to be nested. I could just do them separately, right?
If you want to do the diagonal thing, they do need to be nested.
Ah. Yes. I mean, could I check that they were both non-zero and then just multiply?
Yep.
All right. Sorry about this math, guys. Okay, let me run this and I'll talk through again what we did or what conclusion we've come to with this. All right, so what I'm doing here is dx dy is the speed kind of with which I'm pressing these x and y buttons. And if I'm pressing them in the negative direction, or sorry, this is the positive direction, then I want to move a projectile in the positive x. If I'm pressing the buttons in the negative x, then I want to shoot the projectile in the negative x. Otherwise, I'm setting the projectile x to 0. And then for y, exact same thing. If I'm pressing the up button, I want to shoot the projectile up. If I'm pressing it down, I want to shoot the projectile down. And we'll need to do some handling for when both of these are 0. But okay, so right now, if I'm moving up, I shoot a projectile up. And then if I do diagonal, cool. So I think this needs to be faster, right? I should be shooting faster than I'm on. And then the other thing we need to do is, right now, the projectile moves faster if you shoot it in the diagonal direction. Yeah, so you can see that's like, it's straight up and down, and that's because we're using the same projectile speed number for x and y. So instead of just setting it to this number, I'm going to check if the x and y, if both of them are non-zero, if neither of them are 0. So I can use a does not equals. And if y velocity is not 0, whoops. And if x velocity is not 0. All right. Cool. And then it's the square root of the.
It's like divided by square root of 2, right?
Sorry?
It's like divided by square root of 2, right?
Yes.
That's what I was going to say, but I had no reasoning behind it. I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's square root of 2.
Wait. Let me look up unit square. Give me a sec. Right, not unit square, unit circle.
It should be times 2 divided by square root 2, I think. Right? Unless I'm
Not the
not the oh.
It's it's not the hypotenuse.
It's times square root of 2 divided by 2.
Backwards. Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Good work, everybody.
Wait. Do you want me to just calculate that and give you the number?
0.7.
I need to know the sign of it. So I need to actually just multiply because they have different signs.
No, you don't.
Want
You
to
don't
keep
need
the signs?
Yeah, they'll keep the sign.
Oh, I see what you mean. Just like the actual number of square root of 2. Yeah, that would be great. Perfect.
It's
I thought you meant
0.707.
Cool. All All right, so I'm going to set the number to itself times 0.707.
Yep.
And basically what this is doing is, I don't know, we just did some like trig to calculate like sides of a triangle, but essentially we're just reducing the speed when it has both x and y so that it should feel like it's moving at sort of the same speed when you shoot it up versus when you shoot it diagonally. Yeah. Oh, right, 0. This seems about right, yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. And then the last thing I do is, right, if I'm not moving and I hit the projectile button, it doesn't go anywhere because we've set both of them to 0. So I'm going to add an additional check, which is if they are both to 0.
I think I have an easier way to do this, actually.
Oh, okay. Hit me.
Just put this inside of a game update.
Put
and then case
button
it on if they're both not 0. So it'll be constantly calculating the angle, but it'll just,
Yeah, nice. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna move. So what Richard is suggesting is I move this x velocity, y velocity thing to a separate. And then I will only calculate the x and y velocity if you're moving.
I also posted in chat something that I think is simpler and does the same thing. But at this point, it works.
Okay. Like code or like math for
Code.
Oh, okay.
It's like just a picture, but yeah, we can save that for another stream or follow up on the forum post.
Cool. Yeah, I'll add it into the forum post for when we do this. And then the other thing I was going to do is for non-zero. So I'm only going to set these things if both dx and dy are 0. All right. Dy dx. Cool. So now in the game update, we're sort of constantly calculating the velocity, and then here when you fire the projectile, we fire with whatever your last moved velocity was. Let's see. So I move up. Oh no. Oh right, I'm still setting it. Nope, this is if. All right, cool. So if it's not 0 for both of them, all right.
No, you want it to be or.
Right. Cool. There we go. All right. Right, because one of them is allowed to be 0 in the case of firing in a single direction. Sweet.
Yeah, and then the other thing I would do is initialize x velocity to projectile speed.
Yeah.
And, on start.
That makes sense. So right now, if you start, they are both going to be 0, and then you'll be stuck here, and you will never be able to fire again because the projectile won't hit the wall and destroy itself. So we're going to start with just shooting in a direction, in this case, in the x direction. Okay. So this is one way to do things. I think it would be interesting to also do like Jacob's way or something. What do you guys think? Okay, direction for this stream?
I think we should do some more mechanics.
Yeah, some things to hit with your throw. And maybe also
I can make some enemies.
A player character without the, with just the eyes.
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah, I can do that very quickly also. So, when you press the A button and you fire the projectile, I'm going to change the image of the player, and then I'm just going to change it back when you regenerate your projectile. All right. The player image, and then I need the same image that we have here. And then, okay. Like a mushroom person, right?
Yeah, you know. Standard garden variety. Mushroom guy.
Mushroom guy. All right. Like a mushroom person?
I like that the arms are out, like it's like holding up the cap. Because if it didn't have the momentum of the throw, it would just collapse, or your arms.
Mm-hmm. Well, you need something, yeah, something there to support. All right, and then when you get your projectile back, which is where the sprite is destroyed, I'm going to set it back to this full mushroom. Cool. Okay. Oh, cool. It's weirdly glitchy for me, but that might just be because I'm also running teams.
It looked like one of the times it bounced once and then went back onto your head.
It feels like it's sort of freezing in between frames, but I think that might just be an overall like streaming video and also running the simulator thing. I hope. Okay. Yeah, let's do some enemies then. So I'm gonna make a
Now
tile map.
What's the natural enemy of a mushroom? Toad?
Oh. Yeah, they like sitting on mushrooms.
Yeah, you can say catchy phrases like, "You can't sit on me, friend."
What's catchier than that?
This seat's taken.
It's quite good. Which tile did I use? This green one? Okay, so I think maybe just like some spawn locations, and the enemies will pop up on them when you. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So I guess if they're toads, it'll be like a lily pad. Something.
You got to draw a pink flower on it.
Oh, yes. All right. And then there's like white on the top. Sure. And then we should also have a spawn location for the player, I think. And that's going to be a dirt tile that is slightly different than the other dirt tiles.
That old standard.
Yep. Special dirt. Okay. So I need to set the background color so that we don't have this like black border around the lily pads. These lily pads in our underground dirt cave. And I also need to place the player on the correct tile. So do the player on top of random dirt. This is our special dirt. Dirt 2. And then on top of each lily pad, I will put a frog, toad. So I have this array of all lily pad locations, and I'm gonna leave the lily pads because I don't know, they're nice. It's nice to have stuff in our room.
Really brightens up the cave.
Yes.
Are toads poisonous or venomous? Or are there both kinds? Or are toads safe and frogs dangerous?
Wait.
Oh
So
my gosh.
Like,
I think there are dangerous varieties of both frogs and toads.
Mm-hmm. But are they dangerous because they're poisonous / venomous? Or dangerous in like a different way? Oh my
That is
gosh.
good eye.
This is very scary.
So they're definitely poisonous frogs, and they're also, but I don't know, like they don't have fangs, right? So how would they be venomous?
They have fast tongues.
Crete.
Oh.
Oh, wait. Well. It could still, like, get in you, right?
They sacrifice themselves by jumping down your throat.
There are 2 varieties of venomous frogs.
Uh-huh. How do they venomize you? Oh.
Night frog. Okay. And then I'll give it spots.
Oh, yes. It's poison. It's a poison or be poison world.
And I'm gonna put it on top of the tile. So inside scene, we have place toad on top of the tile map value. All right, so now when we start, cool. On each lily pad. And then, oh right, I can't shoot until it comes back. No, what happened?
No.
Okay, so basically it's got a bunch of spines on its head. And the spine, you touch the spine, you get poison.
Oh.
This is equals 0. Did it bounce off 2 walls?
Oh no. Wait, is everything a wall in the tile map?
Oh, wait, yeah, they
Oh.
should be.
Okay.
Yes. Let me start and just sort of see what happens here.
Wait, is it because it went off screen?
Oh, yeah. Projectile, you're right. I should not have made these projectiles given what we're doing, but that's okay. So the other thing that projectiles have is they have this auto destroy on. Yeah. I guess we're using the projectile kind in a couple places. Auto destroy means that when it leaves the camera, it destroys itself automatically. I guess the other thing I could have done is on destroyed, you should get your hat back, but I think so. Cool. All right, and then when the projectile overlaps with the toad, we're going to destroy the toad. And this is sort of our standard, any kind of game with projectiles, right? So when the projectile overlaps the enemy, you destroy the enemy, and you also destroy the projectile, so it doesn't go through the enemy. And then when the enemy overlaps with you, you lose a life. So projectile, destroy enemy. And then on sprite of kind player overlaps sprite of kind enemy, I'm going to destroy the enemy like before. And then I'm going to change the number of lives by -1. And here I'm going to set our number of lives to 3. Cool. So I don't know. Oh, right. Okay, I do need to do this. Okay, so and I'm going to move our regeneration code from this function into an onDestroyed. So we have these blocks that are onDestroyed sprite of kind projectile, and whenever our projectile is destroyed, we're going to just make a new one. So that means regardless of where we destroy it, we will get cool. And then I don't know. I can just set the toads to follow unless someone has ideas for like toad behavior. I guess they should jump.
I like the way that this looks right now. Makes it feel like we're trying to protect the lily pads from the dangerous toads.
That's true. Should
One idea for the toad movement is you could do A star just to a random dirt tile. And then once they get there, A star to another random one. They just sort of wander.
I like the idea of defending something, though. Like, what if there was something in the middle of the tile map that they were trying to go to? And maybe when you hit them, you give them a random velocity for a bit, and then they start going again. So, like, when you hit them, they get knocked back.
Oh, okay. Sure, yeah. Okay, so then instead of destroying the enemy, I am going to destroy the projectile, and then I'm going to set the enemy velocity, and then I think Vivian, you did this with your bird game, right? Did you set the velocity and then just leave the follow?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to set the velocity to the velocity of the projectile for a little bit.
Cool. You guys want some more frog facts?
Yeah. What frog or toad facts?
Frog facts.
Okay.
Poison dart frogs do not actually make poison themselves. They eat a bunch of bugs that have tiny bits of poison that they collect and then use to poison other things. So if you raise poison dart frogs in captivity, they are not poisonous.
I feel like there's life lessons to be learned here. Like if we ate a bunch of apple seeds, then we could have like poison.
Let's not
Vivian.
encourage that, though.
Yeah, hard to balance the right amount of apple seeds to eat from being poisonous and dying.
Yes, and also don't touch poison dart frogs because they might have eaten some poison bugs.
What are poisonous bugs?
Bugs with poison in them.
Wait, are poison dart frogs venomous?
No, they're poisonous.
Which one's which again? I forgot.
Poison is like you eat it and then or something,
Uh-huh. And venomous is...
venom is like they, put the poison into you.
I see. So if you eat the frog... Wait.
If you eat the frog and you get sick, it's poisonous. If the frog tries to eat you and you get sick, it's venomous.
So that means I can pet a poison dart frog.
No, because they secrete the poison.
And then it gets on your hands and then you eat it.
Oh.
Well, you absorb it through your skin.
Okay, yeah. You consume it.
Isn't that awfully close to venomous, though? I feel like the line...
No.
Uh-huh.
So venomous, they have to wound the animal to inject the poison, basically.
Oh, I see.
So, like, a bee is venomous because they sting you. And a frog with spikes on his head is venomous because the spikes,
I see. So it's the amount of pain you feel before you're gonna die.
Okay, so I just did a thing. I don't know if it worked. 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, right. I'm still setting them in here. That's why there's so many. Cool. So instead of just picking random places on the tile map that are always the same, what I'm doing now is, yeah, cool. I'm grabbing all of our dirt locations. I'm picking a random number, so you get 4 to 8 toads, and we're changing those tiles to lily pads. And then on each lily pad, we're putting a toad there. And then the other thing I did was inside our projectile, I'm setting the toad velocity to the VXVY of the projectile. So if I hit a toad, now that toad moves away. And then the other thing is, so what are we defending?
Maybe there's a mushroom family and the toads are trying to sit on them. And we're like, not on my mushroom family.
Okay. So I'm gonna make, do we have, yeah, like a different patch of dirt.
Hey, so do toads ever actually sit on toadstools?
What's a toad? Is it just a kind of mushroom? Toadstool?
I think it just kind of looks like a toad, right? Or something.
It'd be great if it was like the inverse of a toad, so it's like a key and a lock. The toad fits into the toadstool.
Okay, yeah, there are a lot of pictures of toads on these things.
Oh, okay.
What a scientific game we're making.
I don't know if it's like if they do it on purpose, but I mean, occasionally toads do jump and land on a toadstool, it seems.
I guess that could be true of anything that like also is near where a toad lives.
Yeah, you have to look at
or
the control.
photographers pick up toads and put them on toadstools often.
That's unethical.
Did a Richard.
Hey. I accept this one is named after him.
All right, so what I'm gonna do in our closing minutes here is I'm making a little space for our mushroom family, and I'll put some sprites on it, and then the toads are gonna try and go for the sprites. And I think I'm also gonna make it, oh no, can't be walls because then the toads would never overlap it. All right. So then, I'm just gonna pick maybe for each special dirt tile, I'm going to make a new variable called mushroom of kind, mushroom, and this will be like a bunch of smaller mushrooms.
Our mushroom family. Oh.
Cool, with white spots. And then whoops, filled the spots on that guy. Great. Oh, shoot, you're not going to be able to see. I think this should show up okay, actually. The dark purple will not show up, but oh well. Then the toads, when they spawn, will follow the I guess they'll follow one of them. Yeah.
No
I'll
time
pick
to
a
be
random.
random today.
Yes. So I made all the mushrooms first, making all these toads, and then we're gonna pick a random mushroom for this toad to follow. So inside arrays, we have sprites of kind mushroom. And then I have this random element from 0 to the length of array -1. Yeah, that should work. All right, so let's take a quick look. And instead of speed 100, I'll do something a little slower. All right, let me see. Oh, goodness. All right, this game is somewhat challenging. I think the problem is you can only shoot once.
Maybe they should be slower.
To be a lot faster. 80, and then I'll make the toads slower. And I'm going to do fewer of them as well. 2 to 4. All right. And then I think theoretically we would also want some level design to make this bouncing mechanism a little better, more useful, since right now we have just a room that is like all empty in the middle, so there's not really too much you can bounce off of. Cool. So that's about it. What's happening here? All right. I think I would add, I guess there's not really any win condition, so I'll give you a point whenever you hit a toad. And this will be a game with a high score. Cool. And then the other thing to do is, I guess, when the toad, last 2 minutes. Sprite of kind enemy overlaps this tile. Can I destroy all sprites on this tile?
No. But you could do when they overlap the mushroom.
Oh, yes. Okay, so sprite of kind enemy overlaps other sprite of kind mushroom. We're going to destroy the mushroom, and then also, I guess, maybe destroy the enemy just for convenience at this point. And then if there are no mushrooms left, then you lose the game. So if the length of the array of all mushroom sprites is 0, then game over. Cool. Well, thank you guys all for joining us. We are just about out of time. So let's do outros. I'm Shannon. I'm at Shakao on the MakeCode forums.
And I'm Daryl at Darzu on the MakeCode forum.
I'm Joey at JWonderl on the MakeCode forums.
I'm Richard, and I was trying to figure out a clever way to combine my name with Ribbit, but couldn't.
And I'm Vivian at Live Cheerful on the MakeCode forums. And I think we're going to try raiding another Twitch channel today. We're going to raid the Visual Studio channel, and they're going to do something cool. So I'm going to just type in chat and see what happens. Two viewers are ready to rate Visual Studio in 6 seconds. Okay, see you guys there.
Okay.
Bye. Raid now.